Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again from the OREI team with an overview of the CO-UHD330-K HDMI extension kit. This product was engineered to make it incredibly easy for you to share all of your HDMI media content with a second remote location up to 100 meters away over a single RG6 coaxial cable. The product fully supports 4K ultra high definition media content and is both HDMI 2.0 as well as HDCP 2.2 compliant, which means it'll work just fine with all of your modern media equipment and a wide variety of different media styles. The receiver features audio extraction capabilities that will digitally strip the audio component from the media stream you're sharing and allow you to pass it along to a home stereo or a soundbar for better quality audio. The transmitter features local loopback functionality, which allows you to enjoy the content here while you're simultaneously sharing it with the remote location. The kit even includes a set of infrared blasters that will pick up the remote control signals from that secondary location and pass those back over the same coaxial cable to the primary location so you can remotely control the content you're watching. Now, as part of this overview, I'd like to start with an unboxing just to show you everything that's included with the kit. And then I'll take a closer look at the transmitter and the receiver modules and explain the connections and indicators. I'll list the features and functions the product provides, and then I'll come back and do a short demonstration to show you just how simple this product will be to use with your own equipment. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you open up the box, you'll find a transmitter module and a receiver module, a set of brackets you can use to mount these modules up off the ground and out of the way. You'll find two DC 12-volt 1-amp power supplies. You'll plug this end into any standard wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar that plugs into the back of each of the modules and provides all the power you'll need for operation. You'll also find a set of infrared blasters, and these are a little bit different. This is a receiver, that's the larger one, and this is the transmitter, and it's important you plug those into the correct modules for proper operation. Also included is a warranty card and a full instruction manual that lists connection diagrams, specifications, and other really important details you'll need to understand about the product to use it correctly. Now, if you stay tuned next, I'll take a closer look at both modules, I'll list the features and functions, and then I'll come back and do the demonstration. Inside the kit, you'll find a sender module and a receiver module. Both of these feature full metal enclosures, which make them incredibly durable and the perfect choice for both commercial and residential installations. Let's start with the sender module. On the front of the module, on the left-hand side, you'll find 4 LEDs. The first one is labeled power. When you add power to the module, it starts an internal power on self-test, and once it passes that test, it'll light the power LED, letting you know the module's ready to use. To the right of that is a link indicator. When you make the connection between the sender and receiver modules over that coaxial cable, that connection is checked. Once it's been verified, the link LED will come on. To the right of that is an input indicator. When you make the connection between the media device you'd like to share the content from with the sender module, that HDMI connection is checked. Once it's been verified, the input LED will come on. The sender module has a feature called local loopback that allows you to enjoy the content at the primary location while you're simultaneously sharing it with your remote location. And if you'd like to do that, you'll connect an HDMI cable up to the HDMI output port on the back of this module to a local monitor. That connection will be checked, and once it's been verified, the output LED will come on. Under normal operation, the first 3 LEDs will be on, and if you're using that local loopback functionality, the 4th LED will be on as well. To the right of that is an audio selection switch. You have the choice of using standard HDMI audio or actually line input audio, and you can inject audio here at the sender module that's sent to the remote receiver. If you'd like to do that, flip the switch down. If you'd like to use standard HDMI audio, leave the switch up. To the right of that is a bank of EDID switches, and those are used to adjust the frame rate and resolution of the input device versus the output device, and again, both of these are fully explained in the manual. To the right of that is a service port, and that's used for updating firmware on this module if needed later on. So if new firmware comes out, you can connect this up to your computer using a micro USB cable, move the firmware file to the module to complete the upgrade. On the bottom of the module, as well as on both sides, you'll find ventilation slots, and these are designed to let any heat that develops escape and keep the electronics inside at a very comfortable temperature. On the rear of the modules where you make all your connections, starting on the left, you'll find a coaxial out connection. That's where the RG6 coaxial cable connects on the sender. The other end connects to the receiver. To the right of that are 2 full-sized HDMI ports, HDMI in and HDMI out. The HDMI in connection goes to the media device you'd like to share the content from with your remote location, standard HDMI connection. If you'd like to use the local loopback functionality, you'll use the HDMI output port to a local monitor so you can enjoy the content here you're sharing with that second location. To the right of that is a 3.5mm analog input. That's a line input connection, and that's where you'll inject audio if you decide to send audio instead of sending the HDMI audio. To the right of that are two more 3.5mm ports, and these are used with the infrared blasters. It's labeled receiver and flasher. In the case of the sender, you're going to want to use the smaller of the two modules and plug it into this port right here. And that's the broadcaster that actually rebroadcasts the remote control signals from that secondary site, but it's the smaller of the two. To the right of that is a DC input port. That's used with the included power supply. You'll simply plug that power supply into a wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection, which plugs in right there. Then you can finger tighten that collar. The receiver is very similar. On the front of the module, you'll find three LEDs. Power, again, that comes on once it passes the power on self-test. Link, and that lets you know you've got a solid connection between the sender and receiver modules over that coaxial cable. And then output, that comes on when you make a connection from the HDMI output port on the back of this to a local monitor. Again, that connection is checked. That'll light up once it's been verified. Service port on the right for updating firmware. Ventilation slots on the bottom and the sides, again for cooling. On the rear of the unit, you'll find a coaxial in connection. That's where the other end of that RG-6 coaxial cable plugs in. To the right of that, a full-sized HDMI port labeled HDMI out. That's where you'll connect your monitor. Again, a standard HDMI cable from here to a local monitor. The audio out connection can be used for extracting audio from the HDMI signal being sent across there or using the audio that was injected at the other end. That's an analog 3.5mm connection, and you can connect that to a soundbar or home stereo for better quality audio. Two more infrared blaster ports. In the case of this particular module, the receiver, you'll use the larger infrared blaster and plug it into the receiver port right there. To the right of that, finally, is the DC input port. The second power supply gets plugged into a wall outlet. The barrel connection gets plugged in there, and you'll tighten it up so it doesn't pop out. That's pretty much it for the two modules. The OREI CO-UHD330-K is compatible with most modern HDMI media sources, including DVD players, game consoles, cable receivers, streaming devices, and media players like Roku. The product's features include full support of 4K ultra-high definition media content. It provides distances up to 100 meters between the primary and secondary locations. It is both HDMI 2.0 as well as HDCP 2.2 compliant. A single RG6 coaxial connection is all that's needed between the locations, and it provides local loopback and IR pass-through capability for complete remote control of your content. Now I'll do a short demonstration to show you how you can easily use this product with your own equipment. And for this demonstration, over here I've set up a small media player that's currently looping a video on this monitor, and that's the media content I'd like to share with my remote location. Now that device can be a DVD player, a game console, a home computer, anything that outputs a standard HDMI signal. Over here I've set up a second monitor, and this represents my remote location. It's wherever I'd like to enjoy the content from that primary side. And these can be up to 100 meters apart. In front of me I have the transmitter module here and the receiver module here. Now the first connection I'll make is to the transmitter module from that media device, and I'll do that by disconnecting the HDMI cable from the monitor and plugging that directly into the HDMI input port in the transmitter. And now we're ready to connect the monitor up at the remote site. I have a second HDMI cable connected to that monitor, and that plugs into the HDMI output port. And now we can add power to both modules. I've already plugged in both those power supplies. The other end of the cable from that power supply has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar, and this plugs into the DC input port in the back of the module, and it's important that you tighten that collar so that doesn't pop back out. So I'll just finger tighten that, and I'll do the same on the receiver. Now once I add power to these two modules, they immediately start an internal power on self-test where they're checking the electronics to make sure everything is working okay. The transmitter is checking the resolution of my media device, and the receiver is checking the resolution of the monitor so they can negotiate the best possible picture at that remote location. The only thing we're missing at this point is the coaxial cable between them. And again, that can be 100 meters long. It's an RG6 cable. For this demonstration, I have a short one just to make it easy to make that connection. But I'll connect it up to the receiver first, and then the transmitter. And it doesn't matter which order you start with. You can flip the order. Now once I make that connection, they immediately know about each other and they start handshaking and making negotiations, again, for the best possible outputs of that remote location. That whole process takes a couple of seconds, and there you go. So what you're looking at here is media content from the primary location that's been converted from a standard media file into a file that can be sent across that coaxial cable and then back into an HDMI signal for display in this monitor. And I think it's amazing that that's 100 meters apart. Now, one other advanced feature this product provides is a local loopback functionality that allows you to continue to enjoy the content here at the primary side while you're transmitting it to the remote location. And to enable that, you'll need an extra HDMI cable, and you'll plug that into the monitor and the other end of it into the HDMI output port on the transmitter. Now, it'll readjust again because, again, these can be different resolutions, so it takes a second. You'll see it come up here first at the primary side and then eventually at the secondary side. And what's nice about that is normally when you're sending content from a primary site to a remote location, you don't have the ability to continue to watch it there. So you have to decide, do I want to watch it here or watch it in that remote location? Because this has local loopback functionality, you can watch it at both locations at the same time. And it really is just that easy to get it working. I hope you found this overview of the OREI CO-UHD330-K HDMI extension kit helpful. It really does provide an incredibly easy way for you to share all of your HDMI media content with a second remote location up to 100 meters away over a single RG-6 coaxial cable. And the fact that the product fully supports 4K ultra high definition media content and is both HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2 compliant means it'll work with all of your modern media gear as well as a wide variety of different media styles. The remote receiver provides audio extraction capabilities, which allows you to improve the audio at that remote location by passing that along to a soundbar or a stereo for better quality audio. And the transmitter includes local loopback functionality, which allows you to continue to enjoy the content here while you're simultaneously sharing it with the remote location. The inclusion of the infrared blasters provides complete remote control from that secondary location over the content you're watching. Everything you need to get started is included with the kit, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So until next time, thanks for watching.